Today I've got a selection of various accessories for the DJI Mini 3 Pro. I'm going to help you decide which ones are worth getting and which ones are things that you just see on your feed and they're a waste of money. So having flown drones for a number of years now, which are the ones that I know I'm going to use and which actually offer some value to my work, and which are the ones which are just gimmicks. And I'll also score them out of 10 as to how useful they are. And the thing is, with accessories, it can change. So when you're a beginner, some accessories are going to be really useful. When you get more intermediate, advanced, they're not so useful, and vice versa. So I'll give them scores for beginner versus intermediate, help you decide. Let's take batteries and ND filters as kind of givens. They're just vital accessories, so we're not going to talk about them too much. One little quick tip about batteries though is it's worth marking your batteries. So just use a non-permanent marker in case you want to sell your drone in the future, and just have battery number 1, battery number 2, battery number 3. This is going to save you so much time and stress. We all know that moment when we've been flying a drone, we've used up 2 batteries, and we're not sure which is the final one, and we're having to put the battery in to test. This is going to save you a lot of stress and hassle in that moment when you're just capturing those final moments of sunset. Trust me, you'll thank me in the future for that little tip. With ND filters, I use Freewell, and these are absolutely essential. I've spoken about them a lot on my other videos, so I'm not going to go into them too much. 10 out of 10, whether you're a beginner or intermediate, everyone needs ND filters. It just makes your footage look more cinematic, and to film at the correct shutter speed, which should be double your frame rate, you need ND filters. Okay, so we're going to go into some slightly more things like range extenders. I've had a lot of guys give me comments about those, wanting to know the ones that I use, so I'm going to talk about those today. Just other little slightly more unusual accessories, which I personally like, and you might consider whether or not you buy them yourself. So straight away we'll go for the range extenders, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking about them. Are they useful or not? Because I had doubts about this when I got them. Is this just going to be a gimmick purchase? I used a Longtech Yagi range extenders, and I picked these up on Amazon. They were £13.99 British pounds. And what's interesting with these is I'm not one of these guys that sends my drones for miles and miles, you know, doing these range tests, but I just want the security, the peace of mind that I've got the best signal possible. These don't actually boost your signal, but what they do is they minimize the waste. So the signal's already coming out from your RCN one, it just stops it being wasted, it channels it towards your drone. Obviously you still need to point it in the right direction of your drone. And particularly comparing it to my friend Dave when he goes out with his RC controller, I can say just from our practical experience that I feel more confident. I do feel like I've got a stronger signal. Now you can go out and you can do range tests and all these things, but what's more important is your practical experience. And when I've been out in situations, sometimes Dave's had actually he can actually see his drone and the signal's playing up, and I've seen a lot about this in reviews that people are complaining with the new RC. So now this doesn't perform miracles. If there's Wi-Fi interference, I feel like this does help a little bit, but you can still lose signal potentially with Wi-Fi interference. But look, if it gives me 15–20% stronger signal, then I think it's worth it. And for the price, when you think how much the drone costs, £13.99, really easy to put onto your drone as well, onto your RC N1. These clip off here, so you know it can be more portable. For a beginner, I'm going to give these 3 out of 10. They're not absolutely essential. Intermediate, 6 out of 10. Not the most essential thing, and that they don't perform miracles, but if they give me slightly stronger signal boost, then I think they're worth having. And I also think they look pretty cool. I can imagine these they give me a sort of sci-fi retro feel. I can imagine these being on Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Rocket Raccoon. If you were ever to fly a drone, I can imagine you'd go for a Longtech Yagi signal booster. This is future Ian, currently editing the vlog that you're watching at the moment. Now, once I finished recording, I noticed I had that heart-sinking moment, which a lot of videographers have experienced, of seeing flicker in the background. You see the blue lights? See that flickering? So I've put off tackling this issue for a long time. It's like my arch nemesis, video flicker. It's a little bit like video noise, it just annoys you. I decided, now this isn't a sponsored video, it was me that reached out to Digital Anarchy myself and I said, look guys, can I try out your program? I'll test it out, I'll show my viewers, does it work or not? So on Final Cut Pro, you can see how I edit my videos here, it's all pretty much done. Ian in the past, he was too lazy to get a haircut, so he stuck a cap on. Flicker free, you load up the program and just drag it onto your footage. Now, what it does, it just analyzes the footage for you, gets rid of the flicker, and the rest of the video, the quality stays the same, which is incredible. Now, I haven't changed any of the settings. There are things here that you can tweak. I've left use GPU on. This uses your graphics card and it speeds up the rendering. And look at this, look at the before and then after. The flicker's just gone. It's an amazing program. For drone filming as well, flicker is very common when you're doing hyperlapses. Look at this video that I've used a lot at the start of my videos. Look at the sky, you can see a bit of flicker. Apply flicker free and it removes it. So thanks a lot to Digital Anarchy for letting me test out this software, and I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to try it yourselves. The next accessory is the SD card case. For a long time as a beginner, I didn't use these, so I don't think they're absolutely essential for a beginner. But as soon as you become to doing drone trips when you're going abroad, that's when these become very, very useful, because it means you can just organise, and so you can have on this side, these are your clean SDs, and then you can move them across to this side once you've used them, because otherwise you're just going to get really confused about which SDs are full and which ones aren't. And they're also super cheap. So this is $7.19, this is Orico, and lightweight. For beginners, I'm going to give them 5 out of 10 in terms of usefulness, but they're so cheap, it's like you may as well pick them up. More advanced, as soon as you're going abroad with your drone, then these become very, very useful. So for intermediate, I'm going to give these 9 out of 10 in terms of usefulness. By the way, with the SD cards, I go for the SanDisk 64GB Extreme Pro. Work well, they've got a lot of storage space, and you do want to maximise the top quality that you can for the drone. There are other brands, some of those might be good as well, I'm not sure, but this for me, they've always been reliable and I'd recommend them. So yeah, big thumbs up for me, SanDisk Extreme Pro. The next drone accessory, and this is a slightly more unusual one, I have spoken this before in my sunsets video, and this is having your Flyer ID lanyard. Now, the reason for doing this is, say you're flying in places like London, where you might be slightly self-conscious of flying a drone and you're going to get people coming up to you, challenging you, what are you doing? This just gives you that more professional feel. Obviously, for the sake of this video, I've covered over my ID. If anyone comes up to you, they might not even come up to you to start with, because they're going to look at this, they're going to think, okay, he's, you know, you can tell straight away he's not being hidden. It's like the opposite of when you see these channels that go around with hoodies. What are they called? Auditing channels. They go around with hoodies, and it's like they're purposely looking slightly, sometimes, not everyone, but they can be purposely trying to look slightly shady in the hope that security guards will come up to them and they can get into this argument, and then they can film it and that'll get the views. This is the opposite of this. You're trying to look professional. You're trying to look official. If someone comes up to you, it's like case dismissed, they'll move on to someone else. Looks like you've got all your paperwork. I would say it's worth doing, but it depends where you're going to fly. This is why I don't think for beginners they're necessarily essential, because you're probably not going to be flying in London, Manchester, big cities anyway when you're a beginner. When you get on more intermediate and you want to fly in cities, provided you're in a fly zone, of course, and everything, then 6 out of 10, because I don't really use this that often. It's just to have in my bag in case I go to London or somewhere. So not absolutely essential. There's various prices going for these on Amazon. They start at about £6 and go up to about £15. It depends whether you want to have it in this case with this, or whether maybe you have one of these already and you just get the printed off card, which is going to be the cheapest option. So yeah, I think it's worth picking up. My next recommended drone accessory is the Safuel portable charger, 30 watt. So this is slightly heavier than chargers I've had before, but I've been in situations flying around Mallorca recently, just coming up to sunset, and you just want it to charge as quickly as possible. So I went for the best possible portable charger I could find on Amazon, and this was coming up with really good reviews, and it's been good. Like I said, the only slight downside was it's slightly heavier than I would like. So it's one of those situations where you have to, I would particularly use it on like epic days when you're going around certain spots. But it does charge fast and it holds a lot of power, so it's really handy for charging your phone or anything. And it does its job, but it's got a nice display at the front. It tells you how much is left. For beginner, I would give this 6 out of 10. More intermediate, I think it becomes more important when you start to go to more and more locations. Let's give that 8 out of 10. You could consider just having more batteries as well, that's another option, but this will work out slightly cheaper. So this is $39.99. The next accessory for the DJI Mini 3 Pro, and I feel like this is a particularly important one, which I have been neglecting. Now I've had this case for a long time and I haven't used it that much, but the more I've thought about it, the more I've realized that this drone is super fragile. Can any of you guys remember the old Casey Neistat videos where he used to just throw his drone into his bag? And look, Casey's an absolute legend. I've got so much nostalgia from watching his old videos. But try doing that with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. This drone is purposely fragile. It's purposely made lightweight to give us high quality under flight restrictions. But I don't want to take a risk with this. Now, what I've discovered with this case is even when I'm using my main camera bag, you can still fit the drone inside this and then still put it in your camera bag and everything still fits in. So I personally think it's worth doing. Now, a camera bag is going to be padded, but I just don't feel confident doing that, just having that just inside the bag. Like I said, I have taken it around the world and I've taken it around places, but the more I've thought about it, I've just started noticing little nicks on the drone, little things. And if you've got a camera bag where other things might be moving around, now it depends on exactly the bag that you're using, but personally I just think it's worth having that extra layer of protection inside your bag. I'm going to say that you don't have to get this exact same case as me. This is the Sunny Life case, but just make sure that you're super careful with whatever you have. When I first got the DJI Mini 3 Pro, I went for this case, and it's really good for what it does. So you've got your drone, your controller, and it also works with the RC. You just take out this. And there's also space for your accessories. Although, let's say you're taking a portable charger, you're not really gonna have space. And especially as I was using the gimbal more often than the main camera, I'd have to bring a separate bag with this. So if you're just starting out, going at weekends, you're only taking your drone, then this is a really good portable, lightweight option to have this case. I'll leave a link below for it. So, well protected case, doesn't have to be necessarily this one, but beginners and advanced, that is absolutely essential. 10 out of 10, just make sure you protect your drone. So just a side note, always make sure you keep this screwdriver with you, because if you're on the go, if you're traveling around, you need this to change your propellers. Always have spare propellers. I've been noticing that just little nicks and things on these propellers, and the drone has actually been flying, but I don't want to risk it because you're not going to necessarily have peak performance, and you're sending your drone up and you're putting a lot of faith in it. So you want to make sure, just keep an eye on your propellers, always have spare ones on you. I have decided to upgrade my screwdriver from the one that comes from DJI because, I mean, it's okay for a throwaway one that comes in the bag you can put in your camera bag. But these, it's a set of 11 plus some tweezers which could come in really handy. $9.99 for 11 different screwdrivers. The ones that fit perfectly for DJI Mini 3 Pro, I'm going to keep that in my camera bag. And these are just handy to have around the house anyway, so I'll leave a link in the description below. This is from Skyreet, and this is propeller protector, so it makes sure that the propellers are facing the right way. So you have them there in the middle and clip this round. So this is another alternative way to just protect those propellers. The next accessory for your DJI Mini 3 Pro, which I can't find, so it tells you something that I don't use it that much, but I did use it a lot when I was a beginner, and that is the landing pads. It was literally one of the first thing I would go for because I hadn't got the palm takeoff, palm landing at that point, and it's absolutely crucial. If you're not confident doing the palm takeoff, palm landing, then you definitely need a landing pad. Now, I've actually tried both. I went for the large ones, which are slightly cheaper, but I really didn't enjoy folding those again. So I'd recommend going for the slightly heavier ones, the ones that, I'll give you a link in the description. They're slightly heavy, which is the only thing. If you're going around like I do with a gimbal and the main camera, it's just a little bit too much to carry with you, but even in some situations, let's say I was going mountaineering with the Air 2S on one day, I probably then wouldn't want to do a palm takeoff, palm landing. So then I would look for the old landing pad. The Drone Mask 2 is the most expensive accessory on today's list at $179, but it is a very exciting accessory because it gives you a more immersive experience flying your DJI Mini 3 Pro, and it also improves your visibility, so for avoiding things like power lines, gives you more peace of mind. Now, this isn't full-on FPV flying, but if one day you're interested in maybe getting an Avata, then this can help bridge the gap. I've done a full review on the Drone Mask 2, so I'll leave that in the top corner and you can check that out there. With DJI Mini 3 Pro, with the accessories, you want to be careful about adding something which is going to ruin your warranty. I've seen these landing feet where, you know, for a start you're going to put it over the 250 grams, which is the point of having the DJI Mini 3 Pro, really. And then you're also affecting the performance of the drone. Like, it's risky. You might see a video where some guy managed to land them on water, but to me, this drone is normally really reliable the way it flies, so why would you take the gamble of doing that? I'm also very reluctant to use propellers that aren't from DJI. I mean, don't get me wrong, there might be some out there that do a good job and maybe they're slightly quieter, but for me these are quiet enough. They've been designed for this drone, so I just don't want to take that gamble. If you want to do your research and you find something, do that at your own risk, but for me, I'm not going to do it. Some other things, I saw something about a skin that makes it waterproof. I don't know, does that put it over the 250 grams as well? That would be my risk with that. I'm not sure. It's not for me. Maybe it works. Do your research on it, but it's not for me. So this is the first time for a little while that I've been back in the studio, and it's nice to do a video like this again. But I have done some videos, I'm trying to mix it up as much as possible. So I've done some live flight videos. I did one video recently where I did a live flight with the drone and then took it back to the studio and did a color grade from the same footage. So if you haven't checked out that video, I'll leave that here and I'll see you guys in that video.